In today's episode, we're speaking to Kimba Cooper-Martin. Kimba is a successful, innovative, and a creative entrepreneur based in Bristol. Kimba has been using gamification in her personal and business life to improve results and meet her goals for as long as she can remember. As well as running a flourishing business in her spare time, she is a sponsored hula hooper and has used gamification to outsell the other sponsees by 10 times 10x. Let's speak to Kimba and find out how she changed her life by changing her mindset. Let's find out. Welcome. This is Gull, your money mindset expert. And today I'm so excited. We have the beautiful, the wonderful, the amazing Kimba Cooper-Martin. Welcome, Kimba.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming, Kimba. Kimba, everyone's heard how amazing you are from the intro, but please, in your own words, share with everybody what it is that you do.
Okay, so the short answer is a gamification specialist, but most people don't know what that is. So I don't know if it'd be helpful for me to explain what that is to start with. So everybody's played a game of some description. You maybe played Tiddlywinks as a kid, or a card game, or chess. Maybe you play a sport. Maybe you play a video game or a mobile game. Maybe you're really into Wordle. Whatever it is, there are things that are built into games to make you want to keep playing, even when it's difficult, even when it's boring, even when you're frustrated, you want to give up, because you want to keep playing. Like, you want to maybe beat your opponent. You want to maybe get to that next level. And so what I do is I take those things that make games so compelling, so motivating, and I put them into non-game settings. So I use them to help business owners, specifically those that run things like courses and online launches and online memberships, and use their social media accounts to market, to get better results for them and their customers through using those game tools and those game techniques. So it's not as easy as saying, hi, I'm Kimber, I'm a hairdresser, but it is fun, it is engaging. And once people start to understand it, they get excited about it too.
My God, I'm super excited to have the conversation. Actually, more. I mean, I'm excited to learn about you today, but I definitely am excited to see how we can learn from you on Wednesday on Money Talkies about this. But yeah, coming back to this is amazing. This is the first time we've had someone like you discussing this aspect about it. But Kimba, tell us, how did it start for you? Surely you can't just wake up one day and think, okay, I'm going to be a gamification expert. What led you? What was your path journey? How did you end up being here right now? Talk us through.
So there's a couple of different directions that kind of brought me to where I am today. And so to start with, I think it came about, my other half said to me, you don't ever exercise unless you set yourself a challenge. And I was like, what are you talking about? No, I don't. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh God, he's right. I only like will exercise if I've got something that I've set up for myself. So for example, I would do a 30-day plank challenge, or I'd I'd sign myself up for a half marathon so that I had to run or whatever. And I was like, oh God, this is so weird. And then I started looking into it and I was like, I do this in my business as well. I do this everywhere. I do this naturally as part of who I am. And then I remembered going to a conference a while back and that I had heard about this word gamification, and I was like, oh gosh, it's actually a word for this thing, so I'm going to start doing it in my business. But it's like my journey started a lot earlier than that. So when I got into business to start with, I wasn't doing gamification. That's a relatively recent pivot. When I got business to start with, it was because I got sacked from my existing job.
Okay, let's hear about that.
And I didn't know what to do. Yeah, exactly. So like I was, one of those people. I'm a high achiever, and I've never been sacked before, so I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I don't have a job. I was living in a new city. I didn't know anybody, so I had to apply to be on the dole. It was all very difficult and intense. I spent many months in this new city trying to find a job, and just not even hearing back. Never mind not getting interviews, just not even hearing back from people. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I came across this company online that did virtual assistant services. Weirdly, I found out about them on Twitter, and I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. I've not heard of this before. Can you tell me a bit more about it? And so they were like, well, actually, we're looking to start up a base in Bristol. So if you'd be interested in becoming self-employed, what will happen is you'll kind of look for clients in the Bristol area, and any work that you can do, you take it, and any work that you can't do, you pass on to the rest of the team. And my background's in marketing, so I would take any work that came through for email marketing or social media or anything like that at all. But eventually, because I wasn't getting enough money in through that channel, I was starting up my own business at the same time. So eventually it became a bit of a conflict of interest doing them both at the same time. So I started up what was then a digital agency, whereby I did, well, you know what it's like when you start out in business. I did anything for anyone who'd give me some money. So I did website audits, I did social media, I did email marketing. And over the years, I slowly reduced down the things I offered in line with what I was good at, what I was getting results from, what I liked. And we became just a social media agency. I had a team, I had an office, like I had all of those things that are considered to be really important to other people when you talk about the fact of their business. And then in March 2020, I'd started running Instagram training alongside running my agency, and we'd come to the conclusion that that was making much more money than the social media agency now, so we were going to close that down. And so weirdly, completely unexpectedly, alongside COVID, we happened to close down our agency. We shut down our offices, all of my team went remote, and we just started doing the Instagram training. And everyone was saying, you must have predicted COVID happening, because all of a sudden your team were just happening to work from home, and like you didn't have to pay for an office anymore and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, no, it was just completely coincidental. And so that's kind of that journey alongside, you know, the kind of official business route. How did I get here from that? But in my spare time, well, you know, around the same time I got sacked, I kind of got into hula hooping. And so I am I call myself a semi-professional hula hooper because I perform occasionally, but I do it for myself, really. I do it for health and fitness and all that kind of stuff. And I got really into it. I was meeting people online. I was going to conventions all over the world, and I got sponsored by a hula hoop company in America. And I used what I now know as gamification, but I didn't know it was called that back then, to outsell all the other sponsored hoopers by 10 times by playing games online, to attract more people into my world and show off the hula hoops. So yeah, it's like when somebody says, how did you get into this? It's not a small story. It's 3 different areas. It's like all these different ways of getting into it, but it's kind of been there as an undercurrent of my life for as long as I can remember. I've always kind of played games to get better results, played games to make more sales, played games to get myself to exercise or read more, or, you know, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been many layered.
I mean, that's amazing, because I think if you can understand the concept of gamification from what I'm hearing from you, is then you can learn any skill, you can develop any habit, you can move ahead and set any goals for your business and allow your customers to experience goals, especially if you're a course creator, because that's one of the biggest things, you know, people going through the actual program, you know, and people completing the program, and a lot of people don't complete the program and say, oh, this doesn't work. Well, have you completed the program? Have you done the stuff? No. How can you sort of say that it doesn't work? I think that's very useful, but more, I mean, I'm just thinking as a parent that these skills would be very handy for when you're dealing with your children and how they need to do it. But that's how kids learn, isn't it? Kids learn through games, through playing games, you know, let's play this, let's do that, let's do this, you know, and I think this is quite an important skill. But the things we do as children, it's funny, we can do the same things as adults to get, you know, greater results, if anything, because we have greater awareness around it, but we fail to do it because we just think, that's just for kid stuff. But you know, because when you said gamification, I'm saying this is interesting, because I'm always looking for different concepts. And as you're talking, I'm thinking, oh, I wonder how I can use this in my, you know, my workshops, and how I can implement this in my online program, and all of those things, because there's a process to help people engage, not be bored, to want to do it and overcome their willpower, like, oh, stop being lazy, I'll do it tomorrow, you know, whatever, either the procrastination and the laziness. So that's interesting. So
It's so funny you say about you know, we use games with kids, we use games in schools, we use games, and there's a certain point in life where there's an unwritten rule that you can't have fun anymore if you want to achieve things.
Yes, there is, isn't it, as adults? So that's one of the things, biggest, I think, obstacles I come across with my clients with, you know, money mindset. If you want to make money, you have to get serious, and you can't have fun making money.
No fun for you. No. It's like, why not? What on earth? Why don't I get a gold star for achieving something today? Like, why? Like, I don't understand. Like, why does everything have to be so boring and serious? Like, things are boring and serious enough as it is without making it worse. Like, you can make things more fun, more interesting, more exciting. But on the other side, gamification isn't all fun. Some of the stuff in gamification could be considered to be negative, controversial. It could be considered to be, so like, you know, think, okay, simple analogy, carrot and stick in terms of motivation. You know, you can give somebody a carrot and that will motivate one person, but somebody else might be much more motivated by the stick. So really, gamification isn't just about creating games, it's about figuring out what motivates people and using those right tools to help those people achieve. And for some people, it might be a strong deadline, which is a negative thing, technically. For some people, it might be scarcity. There's only this many days left to sign up, which some people consider to be negative, but it works, it motivates. And as long as you're not using it to manipulate people, it's fine. As long as you're being truthful and honest and people are consenting to what you're doing, then it's fine. But yeah, I think it's very easy to be like, gamification, games, fun. But it's not all fun. But that's not to say you can't have fun as part of building it, as part of implementing it, as part of I mean, there's a lot to be said just for getting, you know, that warm feeling inside when you achieve something. So even if getting there hasn't been as fun as you might like, just achieving something sometimes is enough to make you feel happier.
And then a lot of the times it is, isn't it? I mean, if I think back of a detox I did back in last year, which I'm going to be repeating again, my God, that detox was hard. It was awful. And the first 4 days, my body went into healing, as they call it, healing. But honestly, it was sad, depressing. I'm like, what the flip am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I even living? It was awful. But there's all sorts of toxins that come to the surface. I knew it was good. And I carried on through it. And at the other end, now I cannot say for a second that I enjoy that detox. I did not. But I stuck it out for 21 days, and it was water-based, just water, just liquids, not water, it was all liquids. But the health benefits that I got and what happened to me afterwards was amazing. Now, and I felt so proud. Like, I know even now I look back at it, the first week was awful. The first few days are always awful when you do a detox. It was awful. I hated everything, and I was grumpy, and I was sad, and I was annoyed, and God knows whatever. So it wasn't fun. But I was so proud, and I still am so proud of myself for the fact that I was able to do it. I'm going to do it again. And it all showed me that if I can do this, I can do anything. It gives you the sense of self-belief that I can do this. But then that kind of becomes fun afterwards, isn't it? It's like, okay, I got this. Okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? It motivates you to carry on. So it depends on how you look upon things. But I want to go back to this idea that assuming gamification is fun, because I mean, certain things I don't think there's anything wrong with being competitive. As long as you're having the right context, and deadlines are important, because remember, our life is finite. We're not going to be here forever. We are only here for a certain period of time. Most people around the 18-year mark, could be a bit longer, it could be a bit shorter, but not forever, right? Considering I'm in my 40s, that means like half my life is gone. Right.
Oh my goodness, that's like what?
So you have to see. That's what I'm doing it with the tongue in cheek, that, you know, having a finite times is not a bad thing. You know, you need to move on, otherwise you're literally sitting on your backside on the sofa thinking, I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. But you can also make things more fun with it, because the more I think about it, the more I think this idea is brilliant, because people as adults need to have fun. One of my biggest issues with people is, and what the average person is. So if you do something different, like, you know, you're a coach now, because it's become more widely known, but when I first started, it wasn't. So if you're a coach, or if you do something different, get a real job. Like, my biggest one of the things that I deal with the most when people first come to me is this idea that you have to be serious when you make money. You have to be, you have to do something like grow up. And if you're making money, then you can't have fun. If you're having fun, you can't be making money. And making money should be hard work. this is unfortunately what we've seen as adults. So all the fun and all the joy was supposed to be when we were kids. As adults, we're not supposed to have joy and fun doing things. We're supposed to hate it. It's supposed to be work. It's supposed to be hard. And I think this is the issue that I think that a lot of people have. And you're introducing gamification, which can actually incite and bring in the fun again, right?
Yeah, and I think everyone finds different things fun as well. So
yeah, exactly.
you know,
That's something else. Remember, yeah.
Yeah, the kinds of things we found fun when we were kids might even be different from the kind of things we find fun now.
Yes.
And so, yeah, a big part of what I do as well is figuring out the kinds of different personalities you have in your audience or in your membership or your course or whatever, and working out what they find fun, what they don't like, you know, what motivates them, what demotivates them, and things like that. Because what you find fun might not be what your audience finds fun.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, it's very easy when you're, you know, recording a video or when you're making a course or when you're doing any of this stuff to be like to make something that you would love, that you would enjoy, that you would find fun, but actually 90% of your audience is going to hate it. So it's really important to think about those people as well. And I know you're talking about the fasting and the diet, the detox. So it wasn't a detox, but the sense of achievement after doing something big. So I think it was last year I did the London to Brighton cycle for charity. So it was for ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, and breast cancer. Now, something you need to know about me: I hate cycling. Like, I find it really difficult. I find it really painful. And I signed up because a bunch of my mates signed up, and we were going to be a big group of us. There was going to be 30 of us. And in the end, everybody jumped out but me. So I had to do it on my own. Now, I did it as part of a big event, so I wasn't the only one doing it. Thousands of people were doing it, but it was raining, like torrential rain. There was 50 to 52 mile an hour headwinds. So we were being knocked sideways. There was hailstones. And I was used to cycling. I'm a fair weather cyclist, even when I was training. So I was used to cycling in like my leggings and a little top and not really carrying everything with me. But we were going to be cycling all day, and we had to have all our waterproofs and everything else. So my bag is heavy on my back, on my bike. It was really, really hard work. So I was playing games with myself throughout that ride to get to the end of that cycle, because it was horrible. Like, it wasn't fun.
It sounds horrible.
Anyway. Like, you know, there were parts of it that was fun. Don't get me wrong. I can't just say it was horrendous, because the camaraderie between everybody else taking part was great. Getting to cycle alongside all these other people and hear their stories, find out why they were there, that was fab. But I was like tricking my mind. I was like, you only have to get to the next stop point, then you can have a hot chocolate, and then you can decide whether you need to finish or not. Like, I was trying to trick my brain all the way through. And a lot of what this is, a lot of this gamification stuff is around that. It's like tricking, kind of almost tricking yourself or tricking your audience into doing better. So you can use it in your personal life. Like you said, you can use it to help your kids clean the house more. You can use it to, you know, help your kids to achieve more, help yourself to achieve more. But when I got to the end, I was so happy. Like, I was crying and shivering because I was freezing cold. But, you know, I'm never going to do anything like that again. But I'm so glad that I did. And that's the feeling you're looking for, is that feeling of relief, of, you know, pride, as you said. And yeah, it's a fab tool.
I think so too. I think I'm excited to learn more about it in our Money Talkie segment. Okay, so on that note, we're going to wrap this up. Kimba, tell us, how can we connect with you? Where can we find you on the internet?
So we're at Kimba Digital everywhere pretty much, so do go and check us out. I've spent most of my time on Facebook and Instagram. We also have a free Facebook group that isn't open yet, but might be by the time this goes live, who knows, called The Business Game, and it's going to be gamified. It's going to be lots of fun, so do go and follow us there.
Fantastic. So if you are listening to us on our podcast, and then the links that Kimba has just mentioned will be in the show notes. And if you're watching us on YouTube at some point, then down below in the description section, we'll have her the links as well. Go check her out and find out how she can help you in your business with gamification, which sounds absolutely amazing. So we're going to have a more conversation about that. So Kimba, we have to have you back on Money Talkies to talk more about gamification. I want to continue the conversation, but I didn't want to go into too much detail. Now I wanted to have a better conversation and uninterrupted one in our Money Talkies. But for today, thank you so much for being such an amazing guest.
Thank you. It's been fun.
And thank you for listening to me and Kimba today. I will be back with another amazing guest, finding out how they change their life by changing their mindset. Until the next time we meet, this is Gull signing off. Take care and bye for now.